There are quite a lot of books to get through. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. By the title of the video, you already know that we're gonna get into the 26 books that I wanna read in 2026. I set a goal for myself on my Goodreads account for 30 books. I definitely wanna read more than 30 books, but I figured that was a safe number to kind of land on. I think my best year, I read 91 books, and that was an amazing year for reading. Last year, not the case. I had a goal of 50 books. I only read 26 books, but I also was pregnant, had a baby, went through the newborn trenches, all that good stuff. And I just didn't get to read all the books I wanted to. But these particular books that I have here are books that have been on my shelves for a very long time now, an embarrassingly long time now, and I really want to get to them. I also want to be a lot more mindful with my books this year and my book buying. I genuinely don't need to buy any more books this year because I have so many to get through. A lot of the books behind me are books that I haven't even read yet. So I do have my hands full with books, but of course, you know how it goes. There's always new releases that are coming out, and I don't want to miss out on them either because, you know, FOMO. So I want to read those too. So I'm just going to show the 26 books in my library that I want to read, but I will also mention a few new releases. There are some really good books coming out this year that I already have pre-ordered, but some of them are a part of a series that I haven't caught up with yet, and I need to. So let's get into the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. So the first two books that I want to catch up on are King of Sloth and King of Envy. This is from the Anna Won Kings of Sin series. I have read the first three books, I believe. This is book 4, 5, and I believe book 6 is coming out. I love Anna Won. She's one of my favorite authors. One of my favorite books that she's written is Twisted Love. Absolutely love it. Twisted Games, Twisted Lies. The whole Twisted series was just such a good series. And immediately after, I got into the Kings of Sin series, and I have been really enjoying it. And what I also enjoy is that you get little glimpses of the characters from the Twisted series in the Kings of Sin series, and I love that. And yeah, she has a book coming out. Let me see. I believe it's in April. Yes, April 28th. She has King of Gluttony coming out. So I want to get these books out of the way. The fourth book, which is King of Sloth, follows the story of Sloane Kensington. She is one of like the BFFs from the Little BFF circle. In the previous books, this is Sloane's book, and I'm super excited to read it. Sloane is like a boss babe. She is a high-powered publicist, and she happens to have to work with a very difficult client. Cue in Xavier Castillo. He's super charming, super wealthy, and he has zero desire to take control of his father's empire, but that doesn't stop the women from falling for him. And Sloane is not going to be one of those, at least she thinks. And the back of the book says, nothing brings him more joy than riling her up, but when a tragedy forces them closer than ever, he must grapple with the uncertainty of his future and the realization that the only person immune to his charms is the only one that he truly wants. So excited to read this book. This is the first book in the series where the FMC is the grumpy, and it seems like the MMC is more of the sunshine. Not that I would specifically say he's sunshine, but she's definitely the grumpy one. So super excited to get into this one. And as soon as I'm done with this one, I want to get King of Envy out of the way. I definitely want to prioritize these books earlier on in the year because the following book comes out in April, end of April. And I want to have these out of the way so that I can get into King of Gluttony as soon as it comes out. King of Envy, to be quite honest, I have no idea what this is even about. All I know is that it's Kings of Sin, and I was just like, yes, pre-order. No idea what this one is about, really. So this one has two characters that the names are not ringing a bell. Like with King of Sloth, Sloane rings a bell because she's one of the BFFs in that little circle. This one, it's not really ringing a bell. So I'm wondering if these are new characters that are maybe mentioned in King of Sloth, and that because I feel like they all have some sort of like entryway point, so maybe that's what's going on. Also, I'm so sorry if you hear, I have my ice machine going on in the back, and every so often it makes noise. If you hear something in the background, that's what it is. I'm sorry. But let's see what this one is about. It says, he had everything he could have wanted except her. Dangerous, powerful, reclusive, Vuk, V-U-K, Vuk. Vuk Markovic is notorious for shunning human interactions. The scarred billionaire rarely talks, so this is a billionaire romance, already love that. And he has no interest in relationships outside of his small but trusted circle. His only exception is her, the beauty to his beast, the object of his obsession. He first saw her, He wanted her first, but now she's engaged to his oldest friend, and the closer the wedding looms, the more he's torn between loyalty and desire. She should be his, and he might just risk it all to have her. Ho ho. This one seems scandalous. I am so here for it. And the FMC in this book is Ayana Kidane? Why do they use such difficult last names? Her name is Ayana. It says her career has skyrocketed and she's engaged to one of New York's most eligible bachelors. What people don't know is that the engagement is only because of a business arrangement. He gets his inheritance when they marry. She gets the money she needs to leave her abusive agency. Pretending to be in love should be easy until she finds herself increasingly drawn to her fiance's enigmatic best friend. Okay, this sounds right up my alley. It sounds juicy, it sounds scandalous. And normally I really love the marriage of convenience trope, but this is a little bit different than that because it is a marriage of convenience, but she's falling for his best friend. So I will definitely be reading these two books so that I can prepare for King of Gluttony, which I guess is another book that I'm gonna read this year, but I'm not gonna count that towards the 26 because I think I have exactly 26 here. So these are the first two. So the next book that I want to read, I believe there are 3 books in this series so far. I don't know if there's going to be any other, but it is Blood on the Tide by Katie Roberts. Katie Roberts is one of the authors that I started reading when I first got back into reading, and I think I read most of her Dark Olympus series. That's another series that I have to wrap up on because I think they're like at 7 books now. But we're talking about this one right now. I'm not sure what the series is called. It's like Dangerous Tides or something like that. I'm not sure. But the very first book is called Hunt on Waters. And the second book doesn't necessarily follow the story of the 2 main characters in this one, but of the ex of the main character. So in the first book, super quickly, Evelyn, she is a witch who likes the dangerous side of things. She has sticky fingers. She steals from her ex-vampire. Her name is Lizzie, which is the FMC in this book. And she falls through a portal to another realm where she meets the MMC Bowen. And this book is basically just Lizzie chasing her and trying to get back her family jewels. But this story specifically follows Lizzie. All she wants to do is find a portal to get back home with the family heirlooms that Evelyn stole from her. But right now, Evelyn and Bowen are her allies, and they rescued a Selkie. I feel like this is gonna be one of those like weird kind of, not weird romances, but just like different romances, you know what I mean? So they rescued this Selkie called Maeve, and it looks like all she wants to do is get back into her own skin. So I'm assuming she must have been cursed somewhere along the line. And Lizzie looks at it like this is a perfect opportunity. I need to get through a portal and she can kind of be my guide. And this is kind of where that story goes. And I feel like this is going to be a very interesting story and a very interesting romance. So I want to get this one out of the way because I would like to finish up the series. I do like the series a lot. I can't say that it is one of my top series like Divine Rivals, for example. That was like God tier for me. But I also hate being in the middle of a series and not finishing it. Like, I really dislike that. So I really want to read this one so that I can get into the last book and kind of wrap up the story and see where it goes. So this is the 3rd book that I want to read in 2026. The 4th book that I want to get into is If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nolan. I read If He Had Been With Me, and it was such a beautiful story and sad kind of and emotional, but I really enjoyed it. And which is funny because that one, the characters are in high school, and I really don't love like high school romances and stuff like this, but this wasn't like your regular high school romance. This was a lot of like tragedy and just a book that had a lot of emotional depth, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it, and this is his point of view on everything. So I will read this. I need to mentally prepare myself for the trauma and tragedy, but I will get to this one this year. The next 2 books along the same lines, there's another book coming out that I have pre-ordered, and I want to finish this series before that book comes out. But these books are the very popular books from Laurie Gilmore, and these are the Dream Harbor. I believe that's what it's called, the Dream Harbor series. This is the author that wrote the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. I am currently reading the Christmas Tree one, even though it is January. That was one of my books in my January TBR that I really, really wanted to get out of the way so that I can kind of move on to these right here. And I love it because it's kind of like the Anawan series, where every book you get a little bit of a glimpse into the previous characters from the other books. Now this one looks to be Christmassy, but you know what? Maybe I'll do like a Christmas in July and read some Christmas books to kind of catch up and give myself space for new Christmas books at the end of the year. But the Gingerbread Bakery definitely has like little wreaths and bows and stuff like that. So this is a Christmassy book, but that is not going to stop me from reading it. And the Strawberry Patch Pancake House looks to be more like a summery time book. So the Strawberry Patch Pancake House follows the story of Archer, a single father who never planned to move to a small town, but Dream Harbor needs a chef. He is going to be opening up a pancake house, and he has a daughter that he would love to raise with the community of Dream Harbor. Now, Iris is one of the characters in the Christmas Tree Farm book, which I am currently reading. So I'm like, oh my God, this is her story. Iris has never been able to really hold down a job. She kind of like flip-flops between jobs. And Mayor Kelly, the mayor of Dream Harbor, suggested to Arthur to hire her as his nanny. So this is a nanny, single dad kind of romance, which is funny because I am currently also trying to finish up the book The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. So kind of along the same lines of single dad and, you know, hot nanny. So I'm super excited to get into this one. Now this one, again, I purchased these books just because I read the first one or the first two and I loved it. And I'm like, any book in the series from Laurie Graham, I'm gonna buy it. So I have no idea what this one is about. But reading the back, this follows the story of Annie Andrews, which I should have known because she owns the Gingerbread Bakery in Dream Harbor, and her kind of like nemesis, Max Sullivan. In the previous books, these two always have banter and are always annoying the shit out of each other, and everyone is kind of just waiting for them to get together, and it looks like it's gonna happen in this book right here. So I am very excited to read Annie and Max's story. I'm gonna get this book out of the way because the rest of them are series that I want to either finish or start and finish because I've had them for so long. Cue Fourth Wing. But before I get to that, this book, my bestie Jayla told me about, and she absolutely loves this story. I purchased this before she even told me about it, and when she saw it on my bookshelf, she's like, girl, you have to read this book. I have no idea what this book is about, but I know that it was all the rave, and I love the cover, and that's all I need is just to hear that someone likes the book and then have a nice cover, and there you go. I'm easily influenced when it comes to books. So this book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. What is it even about? So it looks like it takes place in France, 1714. It says, in a moment of desperation, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and discovers someone who can remember her name. And suddenly, everything changes again. Super, super interesting. I'm going to take it that this is not like a smutty type of book. I don't even know what genre this is in. I haven't done my research clearly. But I know that it's a well-loved book and I want to love it too. So this is the 7th book, I believe, that I want to get into in 2026. And now let's move on to some of the books that are already part of a series that I am in the middle of, because there's quite a few. So this one is the prequel to Legends and Latte. Legends and Latte is a super, super cute, cozy kind of story. It's perfect for the fall time, so I might save this for the fall-ish time, but it is Bookshops and Bone Dust, and this is by Travis Baldree. And like I said, this is the prequel to Legends and Latte, and it follows the story of Viv the Orc and kind of gives all of the backstory on how she ended up where she ended up in Legends and Latte. And I'm super excited to get into this one. If it is anything like Legends and Lattes, the feel, the vibe, the coziness, I'm going to absolutely love it. This book has no spice whatsoever. This is just cozy vibes and a good time. Grab a hot chocolate or a hot little latte and curl up with your favorite blanket to read. That's this kind of book right here. So super excited to get into this one. I don't think there's any other books in the series, just the prequel and then the book. So once I have this one under my belt, then I will have that one checked off and completed. The next one, it is a very loved series for good reason. I'm sure I just have not gotten into them. But I've had these books on my shelf for such a long time, and it is just embarrassing at this point that I've yet to read it. So I'm going to get into Fourth Wing. I have all of the books here. I believe I purchased Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and then my friend Jenny picked up a copy of Onyx Storm for me. Let me not drop this. And this one is super pretty. It has amazing details on fucking ice machine. This one is Onyx Storm, super pretty. It has amazing detail sprayed onto the edges. I won't go into all of these books and what they're about because I'm pretty sure most of you have read this, and I am just extremely, look, there's dust on here. Oh my Lord. That is how long I've had these books on my shelves. So what book number am I on? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is book 9, 10, and 11 out of the 26. Very, very excited to get into this one. Like I said, it is all the hype, and I'm pretty sure it's for a reason, and I need to know for myself as well. I'm just gonna keep on stacking books here. The next series that I picked up, and I picked up all of them, is the Carval series. I believe that is what it's called, by Stephanie Garber. Dust on this one as well. Jeez, this is embarrassing. I also have the Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is right up there, right here. It's right up here. And I do want to get to that one as well. I didn't include it in this little pile that I have here, but just know that it is a series that I really want to get into. I've heard a lot of good things about that one. But yeah, I have the Carval series, which is Carval, Legendary, and Finale. So yeah, this is another series that I want to get crossed off of my checklist. Embarrassing that I've had it for this long and have yet to read it. So very embarrassing. But that is what book? 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Another extremely popular series, which I do love. I did read the first two books, A Court of Thorn and Roses, and what is it, A Court of, is it Mist and Fury? Yes, I did read those two. It's so funny because my sister-in-law, Nanette, just got into that book and finished it, and she's texting me and she's like, dude, and I'm like, look, just give it a time. Give it time and read it. It gets better, I promise, especially towards the end. It gets super good and juicy, and it leaves you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. It's really, really good. So she read it. She's not an avid reader. I am trying to turn her into, I'm trying to turn everybody into a reader. My youngest daughter was just talking about wanting to read, and I'm like, you know what we should do? We should go to Barnes and Noble. So I'm trying to turn everybody into a reader. My oldest daughter, I've already given her a few books that she has been enjoying. She read The Housemaid so that we can go watch it, but that's going to be for a separate vlog when we go do that. But anyway, so yeah, my sister-in-law Nanette is currently on A Court of Mist and Fury. So I'm like, okay, cool. When you're done with that one, let me know so that we can read this one together. I also have this on Audible, and I have the regular version and like the dramatized version. Cinematic. I think that's what it is, the cinematic version of it. And I really, really want to get the series done. Because it is embarrassing how long I've had this, and I did get a decent little, no, actually no, it's not a decent, I got a tiny little bit of the way into A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I really do love it, but I feel like because it's fantasy and it's just such a large world and so many characters, and it's just like one of those books where it's like I read it and then I kind of need a little bit of a break before I get into the next one. That's just how I am, and that's kind of how I ended up in this situation where I have all of these and have yet to read them. So want to finish up this series this year for sure. The next two, it's a recent series. I read Assistant to the Villain in the fall time. I forgot, maybe October, I think it was. Absolutely loved that story. It was so good. The plot twist. I loved the villain really being the good guy and a character who you would least expect to be the actual villain of the story. I absolutely love the first book. If you have not read Assistant to the Villain, I would definitely recommend it because it is such a good book. So I'm very excited to get into the rest of the story and see what happens with Evie Sage, the FMC, and Tristan, the villain, who is the MMC. Super excited to see where their story goes because it definitely leaves you on a cliffhanger. But the first book had so much meat to it that like I wasn't upset about the cliffhanger. It just made me want to read the second one even more. So that's this one, and I don't even know what number we're on. Hold on. So this is 15, oh no, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I lied, there's two other books that are not part of series. I will get to those in a second. But this is the Never After series by Emily McIntyre. I read the first one, Hooked, and this entire series is kind of like a retelling, or not a retelling, a reimagining of popular Disney characters where the villain is the MMC usually, or the FMC, I guess. I don't know what all of these are about. But instead of the villain being the villain as they're known in the Disney stories, they're actually not the villain. And yeah, it's a super interesting series. I really enjoyed Hook. It has a good amount of like spice in it. They're all considered dark romances, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe this brings me up to 24 books. And the last two books are, like I said, not part of a series. I started reading this book and I didn't finish it. I don't know why. I don't know if I lost my interest. I don't know if it's just life with a baby. It was just a lot going on. But I got like a little bit of the way in. And this is the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And I want to read this one because I know that actually, I lied. There is a second book to this one. It's like something about magical innkeeping. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. But I want to read this one. From the little bit that I read, it seemed like a really interesting story. But the story takes place in Britain, and the FMC is Mika Moon. She is a witch, but she hides it from the general public. There's a very small population of witches, and they kind of hide. They don't show their powers out in public. They kind of meet in secret, and they change locations when they meet. They don't meet very often, but she has an online persona of like being a witch and like witchy content, but it's all, you know, fake and for show. People don't actually know that she is a real witch, but someone watches her videos and can tell that she is a real witch, and they sent her a message begging her to travel to Nowhere House, where there are 3 young witches who need help in learning how to control their magic. So this follows the story of Mika traveling to Nowhere House and meeting these 3 young girls and stepping in to teach them how to control their magic. It's a super, super interesting storyline. I want to give it another go. And I heard that the second book was also really good. So this is the 25th book and the last book, which is not part of a series that I know of. I don't think so. But it is a discovery of witches. I have had this book on my shelf for an embarrassingly long time, and I love like witchy, cozy kind of vibes, especially during the fall time. And this is one that I really, really, really want to get into. It is a little bit of a chunkier book. It's not that bad. I think it's like what? How many pages? A little under 600 pages. And this one here, let me read. It follows the story of Diana Bishop, who is a young scholar and a descendant of witches. She unearths an enchanted manuscript. She wants nothing to do with sorcery, so she banishes the books to the stack. But her discovery has set a fantastical underworld stirring, and soon a horde of demons, witches, and other creatures descend upon the library. Among them is enigmatic Matthew Claremont, a vampire with a keen interest in the book. Equal parts history and magic, romance and suspense, A Discovery of Witches is a mesmerizing and addictive tale of passion and obsession that reveals the closely guarded secrets of an enchanted world. It sounds beautiful and witchy, and there's a little bit of romance in there. So this is a 26th book. Like I said, there are other books that I do want to read in the year, but these are the ones that I intentionally really want to get to and cross off of my list. Once Upon a Broken Heart series, that's another one. I will see if I get to it this year, if not for sure next year, but I feel like I should be able to reach my 30 books and then some, especially with Audible, because I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks. I'm actually listening to The Silent Patient right now, and I'm almost done with it because I talk a little bit fast. I kind of slow it down sometimes when I'm filming, but I do talk fast. I listen fast, so I listen to it like on 2 speed, 225, whatever. And I can get through them pretty quickly. So I'm almost done with that book. And then I need to finish off The Christmas Tree Farm from Laurie Gilmore and The Nanny. Those are like my books for January. If I can finish them and squeeze another book in, that would be fantastic. But yeah, point is that I am definitely being a little bit more intentional, and I want to get to these books this year. So my channel does have like a lot of vlogs and just like mom life and crafting and things like that, but I also love books, and originally this started as like a book kind of channel, and I don't want to let that go. 2 minutes, I'm finishing it up. Okay. And I do want to prioritize reading because it is one of my favorite hobbies. I love reading. I've always loved reading. As a little girl, like my fondest memory is of my mom coming home from summer break, because at the time she worked as a teacher's aide in a elementary school, and she would come home with a literal box of books for me to read throughout the summer, and it felt like Christmas in the summertime. I was so excited every summer to get all of these like discarded books from the library, and I loved reading, and I still do. And just because I am a mom and a wife and I have a baby, I don't want to let my hobbies kind of fall to the wayside. So I still want to do reading content and all of that good stuff. So yeah, these are the books that I want to get into 2026. I will have a few reading vlogs coming out soon. And yeah, if you guys are still here, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you here and share all different types of content, bookish content, mom content, food content, a little bit of everything. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, friends.